Good morning, Lompoc.
Good morning, Lompoc. It's so good to have you here.
Yeah.
I don't remember what day. I think it's Friday.
It's Friday. It's
Whew.
just like another Tuesday.
Friday. And this marks, the end of the 4th week of our show?
Yes,
so we made it 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Thanks to your guys' support and for getting up early. Is 8:30 early? I don't know. We're so glad to have you here.
Yes, thank you.
We have a packed show. This might be slightly, we're going to have some fun, of course, but this is a slightly serious show because there are some serious things that are happening in the world.
It's been a pretty serious week in Lompoc.
Yeah. So we just tested it. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to go live in just a few minutes with Mayor Janelle Osborne to talk about the state of the city and current issues happening with coronavirus.
Especially at the prison.
Out at the prison.
Yep.
And get an update on that. So that should be here in just a few minutes.
Yes.
But first, we wanted to say good morning and share some fun.
And in addition to Janelle, we've also we spoke with Michael Lynn, who owns Yoga V, and Michael Lynn's husband was diagnosed with the COVID-19 a couple weeks ago, so she wanted to share a little bit about her experience, but most importantly, share a prep sheet that she worked on that helped her kind of get through this. But first, for some lighter stuff, right?
Yes.
So I found some fun clips of people working from home. And I know it's spring break right now, so maybe it was a little bit easier. But, these were how some people got through the day, just halfway up dressed, right? And those flip-flops. And then I just love this. She just taped them to the wall. I think you have to have some really secure bolts.
I think you have to get a permit from the city first to do that type of...
Oh, yeah. You would have to get a permit.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, but you can't pull permits right now. So, I don't know. That might be difficult to enact. And then these were some tips from somebody. So you can kind of incorporate these creative little ideas and give them out almost like hall passes like you would at school. Maybe put those on your door. So maybe that would be helpful.
You gave me a lot of the red ones.
Yes, I did.
I think.
Stop! Stop!
Waiting for the green. Waiting for the green.
And then everybody's getting baby chicks right now.
Yeah.
Backyard chickens. Dare to Dream sold out of all their laying chickens. I think they just have baby chicks still that you can get. A lot of people I've been seeing having.
We used to be backyard chicken folks.
So and we had the great idea of getting baby chicks, and keeping them in our house.
Oh, memories.
So when we got baby chicks, it was November, and we had pullets, full-grown chickens outside, and we couldn't integrate them. So this was just kind of a little bit of life with those baby chicks.
Yeah.
I was editing some video there. So loud.
We used to let them romp all over the place.
Oh my gosh.
How cute are they?
That was Sorbet.
Yeah. Aw.
And that was Trouble.
Aw. My favorite.
That was Jeremy's favorite. We just kept them on our...
Yeah, we made the brilliant decision to purchase our chicks in the dead of winter when it was freezing.
Yeah.
So we quickly learned, we'll just keep them inside. So they enjoyed the indoors until, I don't know, for at least a couple months.
Does that sound better, Anne? Can you hear me a little bit better now?
Oh my God, I can't believe it.
We trained them to jump on us. And that was Jeremy's favorite, Trouble. That was, I always thought that was a really impressive trick, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Anyways,
God.
That was life with those baby chicks.
Sorry, guys. We got a little distracted. We just love chickens. We miss them.
Yes.
We can't, I don't think we're going to have them at the place that we live at right now.
No.
But yeah, chickens are really cool.
They are really cool. But they became really good, little pets for us. So
yeah.
We had a couple that were murdered by raccoons, and that was very sad because clearly we got way too attached.
Yeah, so be careful. If you name them, they don't live forever.
Yes.
So, yeah. Careful with your attachments.
And then we had a cool little video that Michael Lynn shared because she had so much free time with all the stuff that she's been dealing with. But she wanted to share some tips on maybe setting up a better ergonomic setup at home, so that you can, not get the Nintendo neck.
I need to work on that. I need to watch this video.
So we're gonna see that and then go to Janelle soon.
Perfect.
Good morning, Lompoc. I'm Michael Lynn from Yoga V, and I know a lot of us are navigating the new normal of working from home. So if you're doing remote working, You may be in an environment, in a chair, at a desk that you're not used to working at. And so if you've been dealing with some aches and pains the last couple of weeks, trying to adjust to that, there can be some tweaks that you can make to your chair and your seating that can help with that. So for a lot of us, if we sit in a chair that's really deep, we tend to round our backs, bring our pelvis back, and start to make the C curve in our back, which feels really nice when we first do it. We're like, oh, it's so relaxing. But after a while, this curved position of the spine can cause a lot of problems and back pain. So there's two main ways that you can help with this. One is you can take a pillow or a blanket, and you can put it right in the small of the back. So it's that lumbar curve of the back right here, so just above the pelvis. And you can just put either a pillow or a blanket rolled up to help support the low back there. Another way that you can do it is put that pillow towards the back of your chair, and you're going to want to sit right on the edge of that. What that does is it allows the hips to rotate forward, again initiating that low back curve of the spine and letting the spine and the neck and the head be nice and aligned. Another thing to consider is the height of your desk compared to your chair. If your desk is too high, when you put your forearms or your elbows on it, if your shoulders start to come up, that's probably a hint that it might be a little too high. So you'd either want to sit up on a cushion or get a different chair, maybe an adjustable chair, because you want your arms to be able to rest so that your shoulders are nice and relaxed. And then finally, be careful where you're putting your head in relation to your neck and your spine. So a lot of times when we're looking at our computer screen, we tend to put our head forward and our chin down, which has the weight of our head going forward, which can cause a lot of stress and strain on these upper neck muscles. So you want to always make sure that your head is kind of floating right above your shoulders, right in line with your neck, and that you're keeping the spine nice and long. All right, guys, hope this makes it a little easier for you to work at home. Don't forget to take breaks every once in a while, get your blood moving, and I'm sure when we cut back to Jeremy and Michelle, they will be perfectly aligned in their chairs.
So much pressure.
No pressure at all.
Michael
Lynn, I think I feel better already.
Excellent.
Anyway, don't forget, we sit around the house a lot during these times because we're quarantined. So remember, focus on your posture, try to be healthy. Hopefully we'll get through this and be able to stand tall when we go outside.
So I think Janelle is ready.
Yes.
Janelle, are you ready? I can. Hold on. We're going to go to Janelle. Oops, 1 second.
There she is.
There we go. Jeremy, come closer to me.
Everybody, let us know if you can hear this and if you can hear the mayor. So I just need a couple people, one person to comment, make sure everyone can hear okay. Hi, Janelle.
Hi, Janelle.
Good morning, Lompoc.
Good morning.
I'll make sure everyone can hear you before we get started.
I think we're good, right? I think we're good on sound. All right.
Can you hear us, people? Okay.
All right, we got some thumbs up. Okay, perfect. So I think we're ready.
So we just have a few minutes. Thanks for taking your time. I know you're crazy busy with everything that's happening. We're just curious, a couple quick questions. The state of the city, maybe you can give us a quick update. And then we wanted to talk about kind of the news of the hour, which is the prison issue. And maybe you can just update us.
Sure. So at last week's council meeting, we did have a budget update regarding the impact of the loss of sales tax that may be delayed by the governor for up to 12 months and how that would impact us, and the fact that there's additional loss due to so many businesses having to close during this time. So we may be seeing nearly a $1 million impact on our general fund. And for those to better understand what that means, public safety, police and fire are 80% of that general fund. So we're very worried about how we will maintain, at the very least, the services we need to provide for public safety, and are looking at how that will impact us. The revenue will eventually come in, and we thank everyone for voting for and passing the 1% sales tax increase, because at this point it may just barely help backfill the loss of sales tax. But again, we're doing everything possible to maintain public safety, as well as all of the other services we provide as a full service city, from electrical to water to wastewater. I know some people had a power outage last week, and we had it back up and running in 20 minutes because we're our own electrical department. So all of our city staff are working really hard.
Awesome. Go ahead.
And we noticed, the big news this week, we saw a letter that was signed by Congressman Carbajal and Senator Dianne Feinstein. It sounds like the feds and the state are bringing a lot of attention to the coronavirus issue at the prison here in Lompoc. And some citizens are just curious and slightly concerned about local access to hospitals and some of that. Do you have any updates, or you want to fill us in on any of that?
Yeah, so I was very concerned about this 2 weeks ago when the prison already showed 2 inmates and 1 staff member that were infected, because it is a confined residence environment, much like the convalescent home that in Seattle that became an infection spot. So we were very concerned early and often began immediately asking county public health to look into this and how was it being addressed. And finally, the federal level is stepping up and the prison itself is stepping up. So they're in the process of standing up an independent hospital out at the prison. They had a meeting earlier this week to assess a site, look at what was needed. Hopefully it will be up in the next 8 to 14 days, and that will reduce the impact on our local hospital. And it's not just our hospital. Our hospital is the first hospital the prison utilizes as part of their contract, but we don't have the space or the capacity for inmates and staff at ICU level. So that also impacts Cottage and Marion. But Assemblyman Cunningham has worked with the SLO County for alternate care sites as well. So if the prison becomes a very large infection site, because it is multiple facilities out there with nearly a 3,000 inmate population, there is a plan in place to deal with it. And again, I'm very grateful that the federal level has finally stepped up. This has been increasing very quickly, but it is being finally addressed. It's being addressed aggressively. I wish it was being addressed earlier and more aggressively. So I'm still concerned about the 8 to 14 days to stand up the field hospital at the prison, but it is being done. They are getting additional staff support, because with inmates being in the hospitals, they're losing staff to those hospitals to guard. Right. That staff has also been exposed, so they may end up sick themselves. And the current staff that is monitoring the current population, some of those have ended up sick. So yes, it's causing an impact, and it's been initially a fight with county to separate out the numbers. And so I think it's really important that the numbers remain separate so our community really understands where that large number is coming from, and that it is one of those predicted areas that you can have an epidemic happen is in a prison or a convalescent home. And with a federal prison here, we've unfortunately had that fallout.
Yeah.
Awesome. And just one last question before we let you go. Just all of us are curious, and we keep watching the state level about potentially opening up businesses or looking ahead over the next month or two. I know you may not have any answers for us, but is there any updates on kind of looking ahead for the next month, for 6 weeks?
So yeah, we'll probably be getting more information from the county public health. They're working in partnership with the workforce development to assess how the county itself will release and start opening back up. We are required to follow the state and federal mandates. So until those begin to be lifted, we cannot lift. We can only make restrictions more stringent than already exist. We can't do anything less than what the county and the state are doing. So they are working on that. We will work in partnership to deliver those and look specifically to Lompoc. And I'm pulling together an economic recovery team. My time on the Economic Development Committee has shown me that you really need those that are being impacted by this as part of the discussion. So I will be able to announce that team soon, and we'll really talk about Lompoc's uniqueness. It's got 2 federal entities that are here. We have several businesses. The farming community is strong here, and the wine and tourism industry is heavily being affected by this. So we'll need to have some really intentional discussions about how we can support. We don't have a large general fund, and we don't have a lot of funds, but how can we support it, and what creative ways can Lompoc dig ourselves out of this?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I think that's it, right?
I think that's it.
We so appreciate your time, Janelle.
It worked. We figured out the live thing. I know it was a little stressful right at the end, so thank you so much for your patience and getting it all connected. hopefully everyone heard that, and we really appreciate your time and the update.
Well, again, please utilize our phone number, the hotline 805-875-8071. If you have questions regarding our community, go to the cityoflompoc.com COVID-19 page or follow us on the City of Lompoc Facebook page to get information from trusted sources. We continue to try and provide that. We don't have a communications team or a PIO, so it makes it difficult, but we're doing our best to try and get information out through reliable sources. So thank you guys for what you're doing. I really appreciate it. You are putting a smile on a lot of people's faces on a regular basis, and that's really hard to do right now. And I feel for everyone who's going through this, especially those that have lost jobs or really become sick due to this. So thank you guys for putting a smile on everybody's face.
Oh, thank you so
Janelle.
much. We really appreciate that.
We'll hope to check in with you maybe next week or the week after. And thank you again for your time. We really appreciate it.
Happy to help.
Thanks.
Right.
Bye.
Cheers, bye.
Okay.
All right.
Let's see if we get that.
I think that worked. Hold on one second. Let's close a few windows here.
Okay, we're there. Hang on. We're coming.
All right.
We're back. So that was our first live. It worked.
Yeah, it did.
We heard her. Thank you again, Janelle, for that update.
I did want to introduce, since I think it's very applicable to what Janelle just went over. I did want to talk about Michael Lynn. So Michael Lynn put together, and I'm sorry I didn't get the slide prep, but she put together this awesome information, and I'll post this up on our page as well. But basically, she wanted to prepare for this virus before. Her husband does work at the prison. He's an essential worker, and so she just felt like it was a matter of time before he got infected, and possibly the family. And so she put together a list of things that she wanted to prep for, and she wanted to share that with everybody. She thought it might be helpful. And he did, in fact, get the virus. He's recovering and doing a lot better. But we wanted to play her story. So this is Michael Lynn. Michael Lynn, thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
And you said on the email, you said that you put this together before anything happened, like when everything first started.
I did. I wouldn't consider myself like a prepper, but I am a planner. And so when I kind of saw more information about how young people were getting sick too, even like younger healthy people, and especially since my husband is an essential worker, he works at the prison. And I kind of thought like it would just be a matter of time before he would get sick. And so I just wanted to have all that stuff ready to go. Yeah. And it was just sort of in the nick of time because he got sick really quickly. So.
Wow. So when did he first start to feel ill?
It was about 2 weeks ago, almost a little under 2 weeks ago. And it happened really, really suddenly, where he was totally fine. He had no symptoms. And then suddenly he got really sick, and his initial symptoms actually were dizziness and nausea, and he actually had to be treated at the ER. And at first they weren't quite sure what he had. They worked him up, but then he ended up getting a COVID test. He was well enough to come home, so he came home and I treated him at home. But then 2 days later that COVID test came back positive, and that's when he started to develop more symptoms like coughing and exhaustion. He was really tired. He was in bed most of the day, but he never got a fever. And he did have some shortness of breath. He had a lot of coughing, but he didn't get some of the obviously more severe symptoms, which we're really, really thankful for.
And then you said you started to feel a little bit ill.
Yeah, and it was kind of, obviously we have 3 kids at home, and so I was taking care of them. I was taking care of Joe and trying to minimize any transmission. So I wear a mask, and when I went in his room, he wore a mask. I'd sanitize everything when it came out. So I was definitely working overtime. So I was exhausted and tired. But then I think about 3 or 4 days after he came home, I started to feel nauseous one night. So that's when I really knew that I needed to have a plan in place for our kids in case I got sick too and wasn't able to take care of them. Yeah. And that's when I came up with an info sheet that had all of our names on it, our birth dates, our health insurance information, a list of close family and friends that our oldest, who's 15, could contact in case my husband and I wasn't able to take care of the younger kids in case he needed help. Luckily, we didn't have to follow through on that plan, but just having that plan in place, it really took off a lot of stress that I had prepared for that in case that happened.
And you said your son's 15.
Mm-hmm.
And then your other two kids are how old?
10 and 5.
On top of this, I'm assuming you've been having to juggle school for them.
Yeah, all 3 of them have video Zoom meetings with their teachers, like at the same time every day. So we have 3 different computers going with them. And the youngest, he's in kindergarten. So obviously I have to help him through all of his stuff. Yeah. So that was the first week. My husband got diagnosed with COVID and he's at home. And then that week we're still doing. So luckily this week has been spring break. So I had a bit of a break. And I'm sure it'll get easier as we go on. But yeah, it was really crazy there for a little while.
So now you're pretty sure that it's kind of downhill from here? His symptoms are kind of going away? Or?
Yeah, he's feeling a lot better. He's hardly coughing at all. He's up and about and moving and doing fine. He's still officially under quarantine from public health, but I think that's going to be lifted soon here in the next either day or two. Yeah. So yeah, and I haven't had any worsening symptoms. I'm feeling okay. The kids have all been fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine that I didn't get infected just because of all the contact that we had before. And my understanding is that people are really contagious even before they possibly have symptoms.
Yeah.
So I feel like I was never tested, but there's probably a good chance that I did get infected. I just didn't have any significant symptoms. Wow. And that's kind of one of the things that's so confusing about this is some people obviously have really serious symptoms. Some people have mild symptoms and some people have none.
Well, I so appreciate you talking to me, and I'm so happy to hear Joe's doing better and almost on the other side of all this crap.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, me too. It was really scary those first couple of days, and so now I feel like we're through it and we're doing okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just hoping that hopefully this list and kind of the idea of planning ahead of time will be helpful to people. Just because I know for me personally it was so helpful.
Yeah.
It's really scary. Like we have so much friends and family locally to help us through all of this. But once you get that infection in your house, like the number one thing I was thinking was like not spreading it, So it really is like we have all these isolation orders, but then on top of that, to actually have an infection in our family, I feel like it isolated us so much more. And that's what I hadn't thought about before. Even when I had planned for like us getting sick and having medicine and a thermometer and all that stuff, I hadn't really planned on like, what about the extra care my kids might need or things like that. So
that was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Michael Lynn should be renamed like Superwoman. Seriously.
Mom of the Year.
Mom
Wife
of the year. And she also owns a business. She owns Yoga V.
Which is doing some virtual classes right now. So hopefully as soon as they get open, we can get back to business and support them as well.
So on top of homeschooling, nursing, owning a business, sheltering in place.
Sanitizing everything.
I mean, she seemed super sane and like stress-free.
But she attributes it to making a plan.
So planning. That was really important.
I just want to throw out there, it's, with the whole coronavirus COVID-19 thing, it's been, it's always at a distance, and it's been so far, a couple months ago, I remember we were going through San Jose and went into a CVS, and the guy at the counter just mentioned, I think that was end of January, and said, the first case of something just showed up in San Mateo County, and it was just so distant. And then I didn't really think about it until another couple of weeks, and then it's in Italy, and it's all these things, and then all of a sudden when it's in your town and it affects people that you know.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, this really changes things. So thank you, Michael Lynn, for giving us
thank you so much for your time and
insight
for doing
and
this.
Letting us know how that works.
Yeah. Really appreciate it. So hopefully that was helpful. And
we're hopeful if, and it sounds like Joe is doing much better, if they'd be willing, we'd love to talk to them both next week.
Or soon. Don't put any pressure.
But just to see how the recoveries went. And it's fascinating, and we really appreciate their time. So, all right. I think before we get into a little bit of the levity, I wanted to take a quick moment of silence, and I'll tell you guys why. And this it has nothing to do with coronavirus or COVID-19, but the wine community lost a owner and winemaker from Montemar, Steve Arrowwood, yesterday, unfortunately. So that's very sad. He brought so much to not just the wine ghetto, but he was a cheerleader for the Santa Rita Hills, for wine in Lompoc. always was a fighter and a champion for doing business in Lompoc. So we're sad to hear of his passing, and our hearts go out to his wife. And then I won't say his name because but a friend of ours lost a boyfriend. They were very serious, and it was very unexpected. He leaves behind a son, a young son. So our hearts go out to that family as well. So we just want to take a moment.
Right.
Remember them.
Yeah.
If you know those folks, or you know people that are related to those folks, reach out to them and give them comfort if you can.
Hug your loved ones.
Yeah. Appreciate
even through
those
Zoom or virtual FaceTime. Yeah. Life is short. So, anyways.
On that note, we're going to take a little bit of a shift here and go towards... don't forget, today is Friday. On Friday nights at 5:30, we do this thing called Happy Hour with the Balls.
Yes.
We just love to hang out with you guys and talk and chat and laugh and just catch up. So that's tonight. But we always we love to bring in Brad to teach us about a cocktail.
Let's see what Brad has to say.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. It is so good to see you. Brad here, also known as my favorite, your favorite bartender. Michelle was, let's say, busy today or sleeping. So I brought my friend Pedro. Pedro will be hanging out with us tonight. I met Pedro on my 40th birthday, and some people told me I should hit him really, really hard. And I refused, and I feel like I rescued him, and we've been friends ever since. Let's move forward. Today, we're gonna do something exciting. We're gonna use tequila, and that's exciting enough, but we're gonna have a little spin on a tequila sunrise. And you know what sunrise is? It happens around the time you say good morning. So it's a perfect drink for the morning and the evening and the afternoon and at midnight as well, during quarantine only. So first, let's start with the hard alcohol. So we're gonna start with a shot of tequila, and then we're also using a little ancho chili, spicy little liquor here. I'm gonna use just under a half a shot. Now, if you don't have ancho chili liqueur, you might consider adding just a tiny bit of cayenne pepper to the drink. Just a smidge, just to give it a little kick of heat. So we're gonna use a half tablespoon of agave syrup, and then I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of fresh squeezed orange juice, and we're going to use same amount of lime juice. I'm just going to add a tiny bit of ice here. Shake it up. Now here's the deal. As I get ready to shake this, traditionally back in the old days we would pour grenadine right on the top, and that's just sticky cherry syrup. Pretty fake, lots of food coloring, but we're going to show you how to do a tiny little layer of color naturally and get our tequila sunrise color. But first, we gotta shake this cocktail up. Hang on, Pedro. Okay, all right. So I'm gonna add about 80 to 90% of the liquid into the cocktail, but I'm gonna save about 10 or 15, 20% of the liquor. And I should have a nice light color. Little yellow, a little orange. Perfect, right there. Just a little bit of liquid in there. So we have these frozen blueberries. I'm just gonna dump a small handful in there. Hang on, Pedro, we're gonna go for a ride one more time. Shake it up just a little bit. Okay, and we're gonna bring a little bit of the sun to the sunrise. We're gonna add our beautiful sunrise colors. So there we have it, a tequila sunrise Brad version. You're welcome. Have a great day, and don't forget about happy hour this evening at 5:30 with the balls. Thanks for watching. Bueno, Pedro? That guy, I swear, it's too much. Anyway, Brad is, I hope that's helpful.
I don't know if it's helpful, but Brad, I think Brad lightened up the moment a little bit.
Yeah. Thanks, Brad.
And that yoga strap really came in handy.
He hasn't asked for any money yet, right?
Not yet.
Okay.
No.
Let's try to keep
He's
it
just
that
getting
way.
like a portion of all the YouTube. Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for humoring Brad. We'll keep him coming back as long as you guys suffer through it with us.
Yes.
So thank you guys.
And we missed our Good Morning Lompoc from Cameron
we did.
earlier.
And we promised the Baker family that we would play all of the Good Morning Lompocs from the Baker kids.
Yes.
So we have one.
So this is the oldest of the Baker kids. This is Cameron Baker.
He's the big one.
Come get some air at the Riverbend Bike Park.
All right, that was awesome.
Don't forget about the bike park.
Yes,
the sun's been out.
Still nice and
I think
sun's
it's
out, guns out.
Yeah, this
You might
weekend's
see
supposed to be.
Brad out there with his vest on, acid
maybe.
wash.
Let's not talk about Brad anymore. He's getting too much attention as it is.
He does.
I see Jolie over there. Every time Brad's on, Jolie gets so excited. She's just such a huge fan.
I think
and
we all do.
I'm a little, jealous
Yeah.
of the attention.
Yeah.
To be honest.
So tonight,
happy hour with the balls.
Yes, with the balls and Dulcie Sin.
Dulcie Sin.
Yes.
If you don't know who Dulcie Sin is, Google her. Dulcie. Last name Sin. Sinn. She's amazing. She has a PhD. She's a mover and shaker in Lompoc, and she's doing crazy things.
Yes.
So we just want to talk to her.
She also had the Cha-Cha Cooking Club, which I think she still does.
Yep.
And so she shows people tricks at home for cooking. And she just likes to have fun, and she knows how to be hip. And she is going to talk about cannabis this evening. And therapeutic uses of it, and CBD, and possibly cooking with it. So if that interests you.
Doesn't have to interest you. We're not trying to promote it.
Join us and ask her questions, and we'll be doing that live on Skype. So, we hope you'll join us this evening.
It should be a lot of fun.
Will be. She's so much fun. Oh my gosh! So this evening, 5:30, with us and Dulcie. And
so, Michelle, I think that was the end of this show. We made it through 4 weeks. Thank you, guys. We said that earlier. Just thank you. Continue to share. Get the word out. Join us for happy hour. Yes. Invite your friends. And if you can't make it for happy hour, we will see you here on Monday morning, 8:30 a.m. for Good Morning Lompoc.
Yes.
Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you guys so much. And here is your moment of zen.
Thank you, Jacob Cole.